I'm Steve Poe, CEO of Poe Companies, one of the partners in this project. In behalf of myself and our company and our partner REI and their employees, we want to welcome you today to what we believe is the groundbreaking for the nicest, finest apartment building in the city. I'd like to thank the Allen, Inzer, and Erler family, which are original partners here, Rob Donhoff and his team at DKN, and Andy Mays at Wittenberg and his team for getting us this far. So I'm going to start off and just quickly say, this is going to be the nicest building in the city. It's an 8-story building with a parking garage. It is designed in such a way that it has angles that every unit has a view up and down the river. It has big, wide balconies. It has great window walls for the views. And most importantly, people love to live near the water and near parks. Well, this building is on the water and in the park, and it's a great place to live. So although I'm celebrating this today, I think the real story here and the thing I want to talk about is how we got here. And there's two components I want to talk about, and they don't sound like they're related, but they are. And first is people forget, and the second is public-private partnerships work. So I want all of you, it's not a pretty day, right? But I want you to take a look down through here, and you see all this concrete, but past that you see the rowing center, you see a marina, you see a walking bridge where 2 million people go, you see, well, if you could, you would see green space all the way to the city, and you'd see where Waterfront Wednesday's held. Over here you see work on the Botanical Garden. We see paths going through across Beargrass Creek. It's really awesome, right? People forget when we started, none of that was here. Okay? There was a marina built from 1937 that was imploding. The Botanical Garden was referred to as the old Louisville dump. I'm not even sure, Mr. Karam, if you owned the bridge at that time, but you certainly didn't have any ramps to get up to it. There was no rowing center, and there were actually oil tanks and a barge terminal between us and downtown. So public-private partnerships work. We believed in waterfront development. We believed in their vision. In 2005, we started on a journey together to make this project happen. And Mr. Karam's probably going to tell you that journey started long before 2005. But we started together with all of those things that weren't done yet with the belief that they would be done. And we thought that within 6 months after doing our master plan, we'd be permitted in 6 months and we'd just get started and wham, here we'd go. Well, that permitting process took over 2 years. And so by the time we finally got the permits, it was 2007. We got started and started going really quickly, and by the end of 2007, it was apparent that the Great Recession was here, and we stopped. And probably a lot of people thought, I don't know if that's ever going to get done. But our partners at Waterfront Development and ourselves worked together very, very persistently. We stayed after it. They kept doing what they promised they would do. They got rid of oil tanks, they got bridges, they built new facilities, and we kept working on figuring out how to build a marina and paths and buildings. So for us, this is a real big day because this is the first high-rise that we're building. This is the first building on this side of the water. This is really the first building we're building where all of these things have come together. And I want to thank David Karam, Mike Kimmel, Waterfront Development, their board, Matt Thornton, for staying the course. They have been awesome partners to work together with, and they've done everything they say. And when we build a new building, hotel, or apartment, we always say, let's make it as good as it can be. I think these folks, I think Mr. Karam makes everybody put, in their bathroom on the mirror. I think he has a saying there. They all get up every morning and they don't say, we're going to make the park as good as we can be. They don't say, we're going to make the park the best park in Louisville, best park in the state. These guys, I think, and girls, get up and say, we're going to make this the best urban waterfront park in the world. And I think that's what it is. So with that, I'm going to introduce David Karam and ask him to say a few words.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks, Steve, for those incredibly kind words. We do see this as the epitome of a perfect public-private partnership. And from day one, working with Steve has just been amazing. We had hoped this project would occur because we see all these wonderful folks who live here as neighbors and supporters of Waterfront Park. We also have to say that the folks from the city have been extraordinarily supportive every time we've needed their support for Steve's kinds of projects. They've been there for us, and we're extremely grateful for that. I don't want to talk very long, but what I do want to say is people need to understand how tenacious Steve Poe and his people are. You have no clue if you have not run into certain regulators. And they have fought and been tenacious to be sure this project would happen. And so all of us, the Waterfront Development Corporation, are just extraordinarily grateful for your energy and for your willingness to continue and keep on keeping on, because it's been amazing. I also want to let people know that the architectural team has been wonderful to work with. You know, we have design review through the Waterfront Review Overlay District, and they have been encouraging us to be involved in the design process, and we work very closely with them. And Mayor, you're going to see a high quality project here. And we kindly had some input, and they thought some of our ideas were good and incorporated them. And I think it's going to be one of the most handsome buildings in the world. Finally, I'll say we had a great meeting yesterday with Councilman Hollander, and Councilman Hollander was saying, "What about the project down here?" And I said, well, Steve Poe's one of the toughest human beings you've ever met, and what he's gone through, Bill, you need to fully understand. This ain't been easy.
And with that, I'd like Bill, you to come up and say a few words. Bill's our council person and has been a great supporter of not only River Park, but the park and the whole community. Bill?
Thank you very much. District 9 starts right here at the river and runs out Frankfurt Avenue and Shelbyville Road. There's just a lot of great stuff happening here. If you look across the street at Waterfront Botanical Gardens, just down the road, the soccer stadium and soccer district, this tremendous building. We're going to have a rebuilt River Road soon to the east. There's just tremendous investment in this part of town. And this is exactly the kind of development that young people who we're trying to attract to the community and retain in the community want to live in, close to the urban center. We also have some people who are aging who want to move into this kind of facility too and downsize. It's exactly what we need for the community, and I thank Steve for doing it. I always say when I'm at this kind of event, we have one more thing we want to do here, and that's a sidewalk to get people from River Road to Story Avenue on Frankfurt Avenue. We need to have the connectivity so that we can get people to walk from Clifton and Crescent Hill down to Waterfront Wednesday into this kind of community, and so that we can get people who live here to walk to the great restaurants up on Frankfurt Avenue. We hope to get that done soon. Thank you very much, and thank you for your investment.
And Bill, we 1,000% agree on this sidewalk. We need to get it done. So with that, I'm going to invite the mayor up. He has been a great supporter of ours. He's been a great supporter of the project, and he has been a great leadership for waterfront development. And without all that help, none of this would have been done. So, Mayor.
Thank you, Steve. I want to welcome Barbara Sexton Smith over here also, another one of our great council people. Thank you very much. You know, we have been celebrating at so many different events over the last couple of years. I think it's good maybe to step back and think about the big picture, Steve, which you're very good at, to think about where the city was before the Great Recession and where we're at right now. I mean, when you think we've got $12.5 billion of construction going on in the city, either going on or announced, 25 new hotels, either under construction or announced, Bourbonism, education attainment all-time high, incomes rising. So what we're seeing is a renaissance and a building of a great American city that's taken place. And we come to each one of these individual events and kind of marvel at what took place, at what had to take place for this to happen. We've talked about constancy of purpose from Steve and the partners and the founding families behind this. I mean, there's no give up in this partnership group that's making this happen here. There was a lot of times when you all could have just said, this is just too hard. But I never got that at all. There was a lot of time the different partners in the city could have said that. Waterfront Development Corporation said, well, we got a better deal. We're going to go on to that. But when we make commitments here and we see good people behind projects, we're going to finish these projects. And when you think about how it all is putting together, you've heard about, I mean, let's start at downtown. With all the multi-unit residential, the big apartments that are going in downtown. The Omni will be opening next month. When we think about Whiskey Row, the Old Forester will be opening this year. The Distill and Moxie construction has started right now, which you've said is going to be the best. So now you've got the best hotel. Is it the country or the world?
On the Bourbon Trail.
On the Bourbon Trail. And now we've got the best apartment building in the state here as well. Steve does deliver. So when he says these things, they do happen. So the other thing you're seeing is kind of the elevation of quality of amenities in our city as well. That attracts more investment. So when we have $12.5 billion, what you're seeing is more people from around the world saying, I want to invest in this city. So it's a virtuous cycle we have here. When Danny Wimmer Presents was in our city 3 weeks ago and announced here at Champions Park that we're going to be expanding that into 3 huge festivals over a 6-week period with seminars in between that starts us down with our own version of a South by Southwest music and industry festival. People don't understand how big that's going to be. And when you see what's happening in Butchertown, in Nulu, and all this area now sweeping down to the river and westward to downtown, this is what you see in great cities. And we're just fortunate all to be living during this period of time in our city so we can see it unfold. And let's continue to be great salespeople for our city when we go out so we can share the good news, because good news brings more good news in the city. The one thing that has not been mentioned, Steve, your apartments will have one of the best views of the sunsets over this river. You know, a lot of people don't get to enjoy the sunsets in our city just because of the topography of Louisville, but there are beautiful sunsets that you'll be seeing right out this way as well. So just a tremendous way for us to come back to why we are a city, Barbara. It's the river, right? Right. So we're seeing residential, commercial, come back and enjoy this great city that gives us life here in Louisville. So congratulations to everybody. Just as a great, great day for the city. Steve, congratulations to you and the partners.
So for the official groundbreaking, since we're actually doing a steel and concrete building, we're going to do this a little different. We're going to have the crane lift some rebar up and do the next step.